ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
Today we sit with one of the most psychologically precise verses in all of Sanskrit literature, from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 62. Listen to the sound of it first. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho abhijayate. The meaning in one breath is this: for a person who keeps dwelling on the objects of the senses, attachment to them is born. From attachment is born desire, and from desire, anger bursts forth. Let us slow down and take the words one by one, because the Sanskrit hides treasures that translations lose. The verse opens with dhyayatah, from the root dhyayi, which means to contemplate, to meditate. This is the very same root that gives us the word dhyana, meditation. And that is the first shock of the verse. Krishna is saying that when you brood on an object, replay it, circle back to it again and again, you are not merely thinking, you are meditating. It is meditation turned upside down. The mind has only one great power, the power of dwelling, and it is always dwelling on something. The only question is on what. The next word is vishayan, the sense objects, the things seen, heard, tasted, touched and imagined. The traditional teachers love to point out how close vishaya sounds to visha, which means poison. The objects of the world are not poison by themselves. They become poison only in one specific dose, the dose called dwelling. Then comes pumsaha, of a person, any person. This is not a scolding aimed at one weak man. This is universal human psychology. Then sangaha, attachment, from the root sanj, which means to stick, to get glued. The image is wonderfully physical. A mind that keeps touching the same object becomes sticky toward it. Upajayate, it arises. And the prefix upa suggests something arising quietly, off to the side, unnoticed. Attachment never announces itself. It sidles in. Then the chain tightens. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. From attachment, desire is fully born. And finally, kamat krodho abhijayate. From desire, anger is born. And here the prefix abhi means toward, against. Anger is born aggressively, facing outward, looking for a target. Notice the artistry. 3 verbs of birth, each more forceful than the last. Attachment arises quietly. Desire takes full shape. Anger explodes. Now, where does this verse live? We are on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna, the greatest warrior of his age, has collapsed in grief. And Krishna is answering his question from a few verses earlier. Describe to me the sthita prajna, the person of steady wisdom. In answering, Krishna does something remarkable. He describes not only how the wise person stands, but exactly how an ordinary person falls. And this verse, together with the next one, is that map of the fall. The next verse completes the staircase. From anger comes delusion. From delusion, the loss of memory. From lost memory, the destruction of judgment. And with judgment destroyed, the person is lost. 8 steps from a single lingering thought to ruin. And here is the quiet irony. This is exactly what happened to Arjuna himself in chapter 1. He dwelt on his kinsman. Attachment surged. Desire and grief followed, and his judgment dissolved. Krishna is holding up a mirror. What is the deeper teaching? First, that the fall begins in attention, not in action. Nothing external happens in this verse. No deed is done. No object is even touched. The catastrophe is seated entirely in where the mind rests. Second, that anger is not an independent emotion. The great commentator Shankara explains that desire, when it is blocked by anything, transforms into anger. Anger is simply craving wearing armor. This is why people who are always angry are underneath always wanting. And third, that the chain once running runs by itself. Each link is born automatically from the one before. Your freedom lives at the first link, in the choice of what to dwell on. The Gita is not asking you to wrestle your anger. It is telling you that by the time anger arrives, you are already several steps too late. Guard the gate, not the ruins. This wisdom echoes across the world. The Buddha taught the same chain. Contact gives rise to feeling, feeling to craving, craving to clinging, clinging to suffering. The epistle of James in the Bible says, desire conceives and gives birth to sin, and sin brings forth death. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and modern science agrees. Psychologists studying rumination find that dwelling on a thought amplifies its emotional charge. Neuroscientists find that repeated attention sensitizes the brain's wanting circuits, and that blocked desire reliably produces aggression. Even your phone knows this verse. Every recommendation algorithm is a machine built to keep you dwelling on objects until attachment, craving, and anger are born. Krishna described the business model 5,000 years early. So let me leave you with 2 questions and 1 practice. First question. If you honestly audit where your mind goes when it is unsupervised, in the shower, in traffic, before sleep, what are you actually meditating on? And what is that meditation making you? Second question. Take your last real anger and trace it backward. What desire was blocked? What attachment fed that desire? What repeated dwelling fed that attachment? And the practice. Call it guarding the first link. You cannot stop a thought from arising once, but the third time the same object rises in your mind, treat it as an alarm bell, because the dwelling has begun. At that third repetition, name it, silently or aloud, dwelling. Then change your state. Stand up, take 3 slow breaths, turn to a verse or a task you have kept ready. The mind cannot brood on an object and watch itself brooding at the same time. Naming breaks the trance. The verse's final mercy is this: because the chain is lawful, it is predictable, and what is predictable can be interrupted. Krishna never says close your eyes to the world. He says something far gentler and far harder. Enjoy the world if you must, but do not build its objects a temple in your mind. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho abhijayate. May your dwelling be chosen and may your attention be your own.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते